Shalom, shalom. Madian Wapanya, Yarashalam, stand and face Jerusalem. Mashiach's Palal. Abanawa, Shabashamayam, Kadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahawa, Malakwafka, Taba'a, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Ka, Bashamayam, Natan Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawat Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawat Ganawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Anawa, Banasaya 1, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Manrai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapa Arath, Wa'iwalam, Ba'asham, Hamashiach, Hawashai, Tawada, Aman.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. By Hashem Mashiach Yahushai, the water from Yad, Aman.
Aman. Yashabiam, be seated. You got them up the trees, you log, whatever. Okay, all right, whatever you're. Sure, it's kind of low. Shabbat Shalom Yasharala. Bashem Mashikawashai. All praises the Most High, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To word again, Yahweh, for another Shabbat day, where Israel can come together in the holy convocation as per your commandments, as per your covenant that you made with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are located down there in South Florida. We are the Light of Zion, located at 2937 West Broward Boulevard. I am Elder Lapalal, and to my left is
Officer Aliyah.
Khan. Okay, it's this time of the year. We are one way away from our high holy day, Hanukkah. But this time of the year, there's so many simplicities going around, where people caught up in all kind of man-made holidays, which have taken them away from their righteousness, their true heritage, from the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, and they've gone into what? The doctrines that were devised by man. And today we're going to go into some of those doctrines and holidays that were devised by mankind, that evolved out of nothing that has to do with anything with the Most High, nothing that has anything to do with Israel. But they were devised out of pure paganism and the ways of the heathens. And we are here as messengers and servants of the Most High to warn our people to come out of the ways of the heathens and not learn the ways of the heathens. Let's start off with Colossians 3, verse 17.
The book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do, in word or deed, do all in the name of Mashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to God and the Father by him.
Right. Whatever you do in word or deed, whether you see what comes out of your mouth or the action that you partake, make sure they're in accordance to the teaching of the Most High, the Mashiach Yahushai, and conform to the laws, statutes, and commandments, not just out of your own way of thinking. Get me Jeremiah 17:4. Because our people have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And when you're scattered through the four corners of the earth, that means you're dwelling amongst people of other nationalities, heathens, really, who know not the Most High. The Most High never knew them. So how are you going to know the Most High dwelling amongst them? Jeremiah 17:4.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage.
Right, that's what the Most High said to the prophet Jeremiah to tell Israel. Thou, even, and that was back, that was like almost so 600 years before Yahushua. Thou, even thyself, Israel, shall discontinue from thy heritage. What does that mean? You're not going to know that you're a Hebrew Israelite. You're going to be in a situation where you don't even know your true nationality. You're not going to speak your heritage. You're not going to speak your original language. You're not going to worship according to how the Most High ordained you to worship. You're not even going to eat the food that you were accustomed to eating. All the things that you are accustomed to as a youth, that you took for granted, are going to be alienated from you. Read.
Thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Right, and the Most High said he will cause Israel to serve our enemies in a land which we know is not. A land which we know is not, meaning what? That's not our homeland. That was pertaining to all the 12 tribes. And we were going to serve our enemies. Meaning what? They were going to rule over us. And by serving them, that also means that we're going to serve their God, because they're going to impose their idols on us. And that's exactly what's going on today. Give me also Isaiah 1:3.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner.
I start from verse 1.
Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzzah,
Jathan. Okay.
Ahaz, and Hazael, king of Judah. Hear, O heavens. Hezekiah, king of Judah. Salakia.
If you want an article? I mean, if you want an article. Okay, if this is the one.
Verse 2.
Yes, yeah. This is a vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos. This is a vision of Isaiah. Isaiah and Jeremiah, basically. No. Isaiah and Jeremiah, they both basically what we call existing basically the same time. You know what I'm saying? So this is a vision that the Most High showed to Isaiah concerning Israel. Read on.
Verse 2. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Most High hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me.
Yeah, the Most High nourished and brought up children, which we are, but they have rebelled against the Most High. How did the children rebel against the Most High? By stop following His laws, statutes, and commandments, and start going according to what the other nations say. Read.
Verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the donkeys his master crib. But Israel doeth not know. My people doeth not consider.
Right, the ox knoweth his owner. Who's the ox? The That's like a bull that the oxen are a bull that they use to do farm and the plowing and all that. Not a very smart animal, but yet he knows his owner. He knows where he belongs to. The donkey is the same thing. And the donkey is his master's crib. The donkey knows where he lives. The crib is what? Your dwelling place. You know where you live. But Israel does not know. We don't know. We don't know our nationality or our heritage. We don't even know our homeland. We keep talking about Africa, Africa, Africa. When Israel, which was originally or initially part of the landscape that's known today as Africa, but specifically it's a nation by itself, which is today is situated in the way they call so-called Middle East. That's our homeland. That's the homeland of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. People don't know that. We got confused into identify ourselves with all so-called black people. When in fact we are from a different lineage. And because we don't know our heritage, our identity, and our homeland, because we got taken away, discontinued from our heritage, it's easy for us to follow the ways of the other nations and not know that whatever we see in this Bible that pertains to Israel is actually pertaining to us. So, right, like I said, this time of the year is what they call a season to be jolly. But in actuality, it's a season that's full of folly, man. A season that's full of folly. Where at this time of the year, we should be celebrating our high holy days. But because we got discontinued from our heritage, instead we find ourselves celebrating the holidays, doctrines, and philosophies that were man-made. Some of those ones are what? Christmas, of course, which is celebrated which our people and all people around the world celebrate on December 25th. And they also have what? Kwanzaa. And within Christmas, where they have the so-called Yuletide. All those are pagan holidays. We're going to go into the scriptures. We're going to go into the scriptures to prove the origin of those doctrines and philosophies. Give me Jeremiah 10:1.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Most High hath spoken unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Most High, learn not the way of the heathen. Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
That's a commandment the Most High gave us. The Most High gave us laws, statutes, and commandments, man. And when he gave us his laws, statutes, and commandments, he said, learn not the way of the heathens. Get me also Leviticus 18:1. Learn not the ways of the heathens. Because especially in this time, especially in this day and age, when we are surrounded by the heathens. Leviticus 18.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel.
Right, and so we're taking it back. We're taking it back to when we were just becoming a nation, coming out of Egypt with Moses. The Most High was giving Moses commandments to tell to the Israelites. The Most High said to Moses, speak unto the children of Israel. Read.
Verse 2, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Most High your power.
I am the Most High your power. I'm your power. I am the one who brought you out of the captivities that you were in for 400 years under the Egyptians. I am your power. I'm the one who delivered you. You need to recognize that. Read.
After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt.
Right. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwelt. Read.
shall ye not do.
Shall ye not do? Because we dwelt in Egypt for what, 400 years. And we saw on through the generations, we saw how the Egyptians lived. We saw how they worship. We saw how they intermingle with each other. We saw the idols that they worship, that they put in front of them as God. The Moses said to us, after the doings of the Egyptian, land of Egypt where we dwelt, we shall not do. Read.
And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whether I bring you, ye shall not do.
So the Moses was saying, the land that you were living in for generations, don't follow the customs of those people. And the land that I'm taking you to, where other people lived before you, don't follow their customs either. I am going to tell you how you should live. I am your power. Follow the customs that I am about to outline to you. Read.
Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein.
Right. Do my judgments and keep my ordinances to walk therein, says the Most High. Read.
I am the Most High, your power.
Mm-hmm.
Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord.
Right. Yeah, get me on. So Deuteronomy 12:29. I'm going to this scriptures from way back when the Moses told Israel from the very beginning that we should not follow the ways of the other nations, but we should do his laws and keep his ordinances. Read.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12 and verse 29.
Mm-hmm.
When the Most High thy power shall cut off the nations from before thee, whether thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them,
Mm-hmm.
and dwellest there in their land. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by the following them.
Right. So the Moses letting us know from the very beginning, when the Moses should cut off the nations from before thee, the nations that were in the land of Canaan before us. The Moses said he was going to cut them off because he made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He was going to cut them off and remove them from that land. The Moses said to Israel, take heed to yourself. Be very careful when you go into that land, that you don't follow the ways of those nations. Read on.
Verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following.
Don't be snared. Don't be snared or not. Don't be tricked. A snare is like a trap. Don't be trapped. Read.
After that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise.
Right. Don't inquire how those nations serve their gods. And say, you know what? Oh, that's where they lived? Oh, let me try that out. Let me see what that's about. Moses said, don't do that. Don't inquire how they serve their gods, or they worshipped, or they congregated and all that. And say, maybe let me see if that will work for me. Let me see that I can get some blessing from that. The Most High told our people from the very beginning, don't follow the ways of the other nations, and don't inquire as to how they serve their gods, because I am your power. You saw what I did for you. You saw how I parted the Red Sea. You saw the miracles I worked in Egypt. How I plagued the Egyptians for you. So you know that you know what I did for your forefathers even before you, going way back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, so the Most High warned our people from the very beginning not to follow those ways. But did they listen? No, they didn't listen. They didn't take heed to the warning that the Most High gave them. So in the process of time, what happened? We disobeyed the Most High. We got kicked out of our homeland. got scattered through the four corners of the earth and got caught up in their doctrines and religions. Get me the Apocrypha. First Maccabee 4. Actually, First Maccabee 1, verse 10. You know what? Holy Apocrypha. Give me Genesis chapter. Let's go back to the very beginning, where most of these false doctrine actually started from. Genesis 10. Verse 8. We all know after the flood, the earth was repopulated by Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? Okay. Genesis 10, verse 8.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 10 and verse 8. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a...
Start from verse 6. Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right?
Khan.
Verse 6.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
And the sons of Ham.
Right,
Cush,
the sons of Ham, one of Noah's 3 sons, read.
Cush and Mizram and Put and Canaan. And the sons of Cush were Seba and Havilah and Sapta and Raamah and Saptekha, and the sons of Rahama, Sheba and Dedan.
Right, so this is kind of the lineage of Cush. The lineage of Cush, or the lineage of Ham, one of Noah's 3 sons. Okay, read on.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
And Cush begat Nimrod. Remember that name, Nimrod. Okay, so Cush we can see came from the lineage of Ham. Read.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Meaning, a mighty one meaning what? Very powerful, very influential. A warrior, a leader, a person that the people around about him looked up to. That's who Nimrod was. Someone of a lot of power and influence. Read on.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Right, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord, a warrior. That's who Nimrod was. So Nimrod was someone who was very revered, very respected by his people. Go to Genesis 11, chapter 1. Genesis 11, verse 1. Nimrod was so influential that he got everyone gravitating towards him, following him, doing everything that he proposed. And we know the earth was destroyed by the flood. So read on chapter 11, verse 1.
Genesis 11 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. And the whole earth was of one language.
Right. The whole earth was of one language. Read.
And of one speech. Mm-hmm. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and had slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven.
Right. So Nimrod was so influential, he got everyone following his directions. And what he was proposing is that they build a city that was so high, its top would reach into the heavens, meaning what a skyscraper, as we know it today. I probably was thinking, he thought of that because what he knew the earth was destroyed by the flood. So he said, you know what, if I build a city that extends all the way to the sky, a skyscraper, maybe if another flood comes, then we'll be safe from it. And the Most High didn't like that. So the Most High at that point in time scattered the language. The Most High divided the language of the people. Understand that confounded them, so they started speaking different languages. Let me see what that is. Go to jump to verse 7.
Verse 7. Go to.
Sorry, verse 6. Verse 6.
Verse 6. And the Most High said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language.
Mm-hmm.
And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Most High scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to the building the city.
Right, so they spoke one language during the time of Nimrod, and Nimrod had them doing things which were contrary to what the Most High wanted to be done. So the Most High said, well, you know what? These people are too easily coordinated. So let me scatter let me confound the language and have them speaking other different nations speak different languages. So it's hard for them to come together as one and come up with these plans that go contrary to my laws, statutes, and commandments. So, but Nimrod, his legacy, his influence, his infamy continued throughout the generations. And as I continued throughout the generations, even to this day. Even to this day, but a lot of people don't know that the customs that they're celebrating actually originated from Nimrod. When you think about they're celebrating a Christmas on December 25th. Christ wasn't born on December 25th. Who was born on December 25th? Nimrod was born on December 25th. Nimrod was born on Tammuz, was his son. His son, which his mother, which is also his wife, conceived and gave birth to. That's right. That's who was born on December 25th. So when the people go around talking about they're celebrating Christmas, because originally, because Nimrod was so famous, after his death, the people would try to commemorate his life. By the way, go back to Jeremiah 10 and 1.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Hear ye the word which the most High speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Thus saith the Most High, learn not the way of the heathen,
Mm-hmm.
and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Read.
For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain.
The customs of the heathens are vain, of no value. Read.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. That's what they did to Tammuz and Nimrod. They cut a tree out of the forest and what? And did what?
The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
The work of the hands of the workman with the axe. Read.
Verse 4. They deck it with silver and with gold.
They deck it with silver and with gold. That's a custom that the ancient Babylonians had to honor Nimrod, the mighty hunter, powerful man, Understand? They decked that tree, all kind of decorations with silver and with gold. Read.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not.
Right.
They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must need be born, because they cannot go.
Right. They must needs be born because they cannot go. It's something that's nailed down. It's something, if you have to lift it up and take it from one location to the next. Read.
Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
Right. So what this was back in the time after Nimrod's death, the following year, they would get it became a custom for the ancient Babylonians to cut the tree out of the forest, nail it down, and start decorating it, because the tree represented what? Symbolizing Nimrod's rebirth. It was to celebrate Nimrod's life, Tammuz's life. That was the ancient, the custom of the ancient Babylonians. Now, through the years now, when the Romans started ruling, and they coined their own way of worshiping, Christianity that they came up with. Of course, we were the original Christians, the Hebrew Israelites. We were the original Christians. At least that's what the heathens called us. So what the Romans did now, in order to because these pagans, which were so vast and so many, were already had this as their custom. Because the Romans, in order to incorporate all those heathens under the old umbrella, they adopted this way of worship into Christianity. But they knew that Christ wasn't born on December 25th. But because of Christianity, because the worshiping of Nimrod was so popular. Another pagan holiday that they had was what they call Mithraism. Mithraism, because throughout the generations, the different nations of people would have the different names for Nimrod. Understand? They have a different name for Nimrod. The ancient Babylonians had Nimrod. The Egyptians call him Horus. Let me see what they call him, the original name. They call him Osiris. That's what the Egyptians call him. Understand? So all the different nations have a different name for, but it's all the same Nimrod. The same Nimrod. Even Molech. What does Molech mean? That's another way of saying Malak, which is king. So who is king? Who is the king? When they say Molech, what are they referring to? Referring to Nimrod. Even when they say even the Moabites later on, when they say Chemosh, who are they talking about? The same Nimrod. Even Nimrod was also was referred to the sun god. That's where the sun worshiping came from, Nimrod. Because the Romans had what they call Saturnalia, which is sun called Saturn. Pagan roots of Christmas. Right, Mithra, right, exactly, it is. The winter festival, there it is. Kind of, all these are different names pertaining to, all these are where Christmas derived from. These are the roots, exactly, see that, the roots. See if you can focus that. The root of Christmas. The winter festival, Saturnalia, Mithra, Nimrod and Tammuz. These are really. Go back up. That's the origin of it. It started with Nimrod and Tammuz. born on December 25th. Now Mithra, that's the name that the Persians adopted. The Saturnalia, that's the Romans. Understand? But they're all the same. Then the winter festival now. The winter festival was during the so-called December, because what they call it's the birth of the sun god. See, December 25th, birth of the sun god. The winter festival, what they call it, the winter solstice. The winter solstice is when the sun is at the lowest, when the sun is at the lowest point. So now after the winter solstice now is when they started celebrating the winter festival. When they started what they call the Yuletide. The Yuletide is when basically like when the sun start rising again to a higher point, and the daytime of the sunlight gets longer for each day. That's and that was during the time of the late December towards early January. So all those that was a period in which the sun started coming back to that. That's what they call like they were referred to these Saturnalia and Mithra as the unconquerable sun. It's like to them like a rebirth of the sun, because in the dead of winter, you're always seeing a kind of sunlight. But from the December on, then the daylight started lasting longer. So they consider that as the rebirth of the sun, or the unconquerable sun. So they look toward the sun as if it's God. It's unconquerable. It may lie dormant for a while, but it always comes back that time of the year. So they look toward the sun as if it's God. So that's what Saturnalia is. But all these are the root in Nimrod and Tammuz. And when the Christians started ruling now, the Roman Catholic Church started ruling now, they saw that all these pagan nations that were under the umbrella, or nations that they want to exert the influence on, had these festivals and doctrines going on. So what did Rome do? They incorporated all these festivals into Christianity. And so, you know what? We believe, of course we know they don't believe in the Mashiach Yahweh as we know it. But the Christianity that they came, the religion that they came up with, they incorporate all these, the sun god worshiping, into their religion, in order to have those nations indoctrinated with their Christianity. So they made December 25th Christ's birthday. When in actuality, what it is what? The birthday of the sun god. That's what that is. It has nothing to do with the Mashiach Yahushai. What it really is a birthday of Nimrod and Tammuz, which were commemorated through the worshiping of the sun god Mithra, Saturnalia, and the winter festivals that the different nations had. And the Roman Catholic Church incorporated those into Christianity and made December 25th Christ's birthday. Proposed it as if it's Christ's birthday, when it actually is the birthday of the sun god. Understand? So when they talk about sun god, they actually worship, it's Nimrod they're really worshiping, the sun god. But whatever name they come up with, whether it's Saturnalia, Mithra, it's all sun god Ra. The different nations call it by a different name, but it's all going back to Nimrod, the might, what they call the mighty warrior that we read about in Genesis. Shalom. Chapter 10. Get me Deuteronomy 4. Verse 15.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 15. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day the Most High spake unto you in Horeb.
Right, that's the Most High talking to the Israelites now. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Most High spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of the fire. You didn't see any form or representation of what I look like. So don't imagine that you know what I look like, that you're gonna create something out of your imagination as if this is what I'm supposed to look like. That's what the Most High was telling the Israelites back in the days. Read.
This is verse 16. Lest ye corrupt yourselves and make you an graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female.
Right. Lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image. Read on.
It's verse 17. The likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air. Verse 18. The likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth.
Right. So don't create any idols, whether it's in the air, on the land, or in the sea. Read. Verse 19.
And lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven.
Right. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven. Read.
And when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them.
Right. That's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what they did. That's what the heathens did, and that's what our people started doing also. They looked with their eyes unto the heavens and saw the sun, the moon, and the stars. And say, that must be God. So that's how they started worshiping Saturnalia. That's how they celebrate those winter festivals, Mithraism. That's where that all came from, and our people followed after it. But all those are rooted into paganism, going back to Nimrod, man. Going back to Nimrod, coming back to the Egyptians, coming all the way up to the Romans, and the Romans incorporated all those into Christianity to this day, and forced that fake doctrine on us, that false narrative that Christ was born on December 25th, when in actuality that's pertaining to what? Nimrod's birthday, December 25th. And that's all documented in the scriptures. You could. I could leave it there. Switch it back. So that one, now go back to the Apocrypha now. Yeah, First Maccabees. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Yeah, go to verse 10, yeah. Because at this point in time, we know the history of Alexander the Greek. Not the Great, but the Greek, or the geek. He was a mighty warrior also. Understand, he conquered many nations. He died young, about age 33. And under him, he had 4 top generals. Understand, when Alexander died, his kingdom was divided amongst his 4 top generals. Different parts of his empire was divided, was distributed to the 4 top generals. And one of them was Antiochus Epiphanes. Through generations, a leader from one of his one of the empire, a portion of his empire, Antiochus Epiphanes, okay, became very famous and was very, very brutal towards Israel, very influential negatively and maliciously towards Israel. Go to verse 10.
Khan. In your red apocrypha on page 114, First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome. And he reigned.
Right, see, yeah. So this, so that they let you know there was war going on between even the Greeks and the Romans. So at one point in time, was a hostage at Rome, because there was you had many wars going on between the different nations in a region. Understand? Read on.
And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men. Read.
Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
But the Most High said, learn not the way of the heathens. But there were wicked men of the Israelites who said, let us go and make a covenant with these heathens. And we're talking about the Greeks right now. This is after long after our kingdom was divided. Understand? So these are the Israelites that was in the southern portion of our kingdom, which consists of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Read.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Verse 12.
Right. So they were saying, ever since we stopped associating ourselves with these heathens, we've had many hardships. So let's go back and reunite ourselves and make leagues with these nations again. Read.
Verse 12. So this device pleased them well. The certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Right. So the king, Antiochus Epiphanes, which is the Greek, that was the one was ruling over us at the point in time. So they went to the king, and the king gave them permission to violate the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Read on.
Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
As a matter, jump to verse 41.
Verse 41. Moreover, the king Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Right. That's moreover, King Antiochus wrote to all his whole kingdom. His kingdom consists of many nations. As a matter of fact, old Maccabees and get Daniel 8 verse 9.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 8 and verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn.
Right.
Which
out of one of them, out of what? The four rulers, the four generals of Alexander. This little horn is what we just read in the Apocrypha. Antiochus Epiphanes. Read.
Verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land.
Right, it waxed exceedingly great towards the south, the east, and the pleasant land. So he was what? He was waging war against the different territories round about him. On the pleasant land. Where's the pleasant land? The land of, exactly. Jerusalem, land of Israel, exactly. So he was waging war against our people also. This Antiochus Epiphanes, read.
And it came wax great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them.
Right, so it waxed great even to the host of heaven, even to the priest, even to our leaders, even to the priests, and you know, he destroyed our, slaughtered a lot of our people, our leaders and the priests, man. Read.
Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
What does that mean? Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. They're talking about the Levites, the priests. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. What does that mean? The daily sacrifice was taken away. Right, he removed the priest, the Levites, from the temple and replaced them with men who were not Levites and ordained them. Just like we just read in the Apocrypha, which you're going to read more of. They got permission from Antiochus, the king, to sacrifice swine and unclean animals on the temple. So the daily sacrifice, which was the righteous sacrifice that the Levites were doing, according to the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, those got discontinued by the order of the Greeks. Read.
Verse 12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression.
Right, and then a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. What does that mean? And then a host was given him against the daily sacrifice. A host was given him against the daily sacrifice. Meaning what? Men who were not Levites, who were now in the office of the priesthood. They were the ones in charge of the temple now, which was against transgression. And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. Read.
And it cast down the truth of the ground to the ground, and it practiced and proposed.
And they cast down the truth to the ground. So they were no longer keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments under the Greeks. And it practiced and prospered. And their way of doing things. This was a period of time when they call the Hellenistic period. Understand? The Hellenistic period, a period of time when the Greeks exerted their influence and had all nations of people under their umbrella in their kingdom, following their ways, following their laws, following their customs. Even Israel, they took away the Levites, the priests that the Most High set up over the temple, and replaced them with men who were not of that tribe. Men who were now sacrificing unclean animals like swine. To what? To make a mockery of Most High, to make a mockery of Israel. Right?
Verse 13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot?
Right, so they're wondering, how long is this going to be? How long is this going to be that the heathens now are in control of the temple and to make this, to take away the daily sacrifice of righteousness by the Levites, but now have it done by men of other tribes or other nations, sacrificing these unclean animals to the Most High and our temple. So that's what was going on. Let's go back to the Apocrypha. That's what was going on when the Greeks world rulership, where they sent out letters through the whole kingdom, ordained by law, that all nations of people, including Israel, shall follow the customs that the Greeks set up. Which meant that what? We should no longer keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. We should no longer keep Passover, no longer keep the high holy days, the new moons, the Sabbath, Feast of Tabernacles. All those were forbidden. Otherwise, what? Our people are in risk of losing their lives. Read on. Maccabee. First Maccabee,
1,
verse 41.
41.
Go on.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Right, so that's what Antiochus did. He wrote to all his kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And the nations all agreed. And a lot of our people agreed too. But they, of course, there were some of our people who were fervent for the Most High, who were zealous for the truth, who didn't go for this. Read on.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Yeah, many, but not all. Read.
And sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all their ordinances. Verse 50, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, he should die. In the same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city.
Right. So that was a law that the king, the Greek king, Antiochus Epiphanes, enacted and wrote letters to all the cities in his kingdom, particularly to Jerusalem and all the cities of Judah, that we should forbid our laws, stop keeping our our high holidays, and profane the Sabbath, stop sacrificing righteously at the altar to the Most High, but sacrifice unclean animals, swines, and so on and so forth, to the gods of the Greeks. That was the idea to keep us away from the Most High, but that didn't go. A lot of our people went for it, but a lot of our people, the Maccabees, didn't go for it. You can read about the history of the Maccabees family, the Hasmonean dynasty, starting with Matthias and his sons, how they rose up against the Greeks. Rose up against Greek, waged war against the Greeks to reclaim the temple, and rededicate the temple back to the Most High and sacrifice the righteous animals to the Most High. Now go to chapter 4. To let you know, this is what the Most High ordained us to be said. This time of the year, this is what we should be celebrating. Not Christmas, which we just outline, originated in paganism, which goes back to as far as Nimrod and Tammuz, who were born on December 25th, whose birthdays got incorporated into Christianity and spread throughout the world by the Roman Catholic Church, another denomination of Christianity, which our people have been following for years, thinking that Christ was born on December 25th. This time of the year, this is what we should be celebrating, Hanukkah. Chapter 4, verse 36.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 36. Page 119 in the Red Apocrypha. And laid up the stones in the mountains of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to shew.
No, chapter 4, verse 36.
Oh, I went 46. 36?
Okay.
36. Khan. First Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 36. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomforted. Let us go up and cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary.
Right. So this is as a result of the wars that the Maccabees, at this point in time, Judas Maccabee was waging against the Greeks. He said, you're discomfited. Meaning what, they're defeated. So let us now go and rededicate the temple. It's a lot. If you want to read the whole chapter, read from chapter 1, First Maccabees chapter 1 to chapter 4, to get the essence of the different warfare and interaction between Israel and the Greeks and other nations. But we're trying to summarize it because of the time constraint. So the Maccabees went out, and the Most High gave them the victory over the Greeks. So now they decided to go to the temple, to cleanse up the temple, and take away all the filth and then the swine and all that from the temple, and rededicate it back to the Most High, so we can keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Read on.
Verse 37. Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profane, and the gates burned up, and the shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes, and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. Verse 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bear out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down.
Right. So they chose men who fear the Most High, who keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, to clean the temple, and then decided, you know what, the sacrifice is unclean animals on the temple, so it's best to not even try to clean it, just tear it down and rebuild it. Read on.
Verse 45. They thought it be best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down and laid up the stones in the mountains of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them.
Right. So you tore down the old temple, the old altar, and built it with new stones. Now jump to verse 52.
Verse 52. Now on the 5th and 20th day of the ninth month, which is called the month of Keslu.
Right. So, so what month of the year are we in today?
December.
Yeah. Numerically speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry, 10.
Huh?
Numerically.
Ninth month. He's reading right. Ninth month. Even though, but according to Easter, letting you know right away. What did I? December.
I'm thinking literally. You talking about in this? Okay, I'm caught.
Okay.
You talking about in the scripture? I'm thinking you thinking literally.
But Esau said December. We're in December. And the word on the December, it's like derived from the decimal Diciembre, which is derived from decimal. That means like a tenth. But in actuality, we're in the ninth month. And now on the 5th and 20th day of the month of the ninth month, which is called the month Kaslu. Read on.
In the 148th year, they rose up.
See, according to Esau, this is the last month of the year, right? But according to the Most High's time, it's actually the ninth month. That's how you know that when the true New Year is when? 3 months later. March, April. That's when the Most High's, according to the Most High's time, is in actuality the New Year, not January 1. According to Esau, January 1 is a New Year. Then the winter. We're in about couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks from now. But according to the Most High, it's the ninth month. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Gone. Read on.
They rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifices according to the law upon the new altar and burnt offerings which they had made. Look.
What verse are you in?
I'm in 50. Just finished 53.
Read 52 again.
Verse 52. Now on the 5th and 20th day of the ninth month, which is called the month of Kaslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning.
Okay.
And offered sacrifices according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made.
Right. So they offered sacrifices according to the law. Meaning what? It wasn't no swine or unclean animals. Read.
Verse 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. Verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the Most High of heaven, who had given them good success. Right.
So they started praising the Most High for the success that they had over the nations, and for giving them back the temple, so they can worship the Most High according to the laws, statutes, and commandments. Read.
And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
Right. And they kept the dedication of the altar how many days? 8 days. Read.
They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates of the chambers they renewed, and hang doors upon them. Right.
So this Hanukkah was celebrated for 8 days. Okay, give me John 10:22. Even though this wasn't an original holiday, a holiday that the Most High gave to us, our people through generations adopted it because it was it was even endorsed by the Mashiach Yahushua himself. John 10:22.
This is the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem the feast of the dedication, and it was winter. And Yahushua walked in the temple of Solomon's porch.
Right. So what does that mean? And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication. What is the feast of dedication? Yeah, we just read about it in the Apocrypha. The feast of dedication, meaning what? Us dedicating the temple back to the Most High, which we celebrate according to what we just read in the Apocrypha for 8 days. The Mashiach Yahushai acknowledged this. Our people acknowledged it to the Most High, and Mashiach Yahushai endorsed it in his time. But guess what? Our people, at this very age, being so alienated from their nationality, and so discontinued from their heritage, they don't even know that this Hanukkah pertains to them. They basically yielded to the so-called Jews. And guess what? And because of that, and a lot of our people were not into celebrating Christmas. Now they were easily swayed into celebrating something else. A new doctrine that came up, Kwanzaa, which if you look into it, is really a what, like a knockoff from Hanukkah. Kwanzaa is a holiday that was created in the 60s. In America in the 60s. The word Kwanzaa is really a Swahili word. It means first fruits. And somebody has nothing to do with the first fruits that we know of in the Bible. We know Swahili is that's language they speak in Kenya. Understand? That's basically of the Hamite. Even though some of our people may be there, as they are all over the world. But this Kwanzaa is a holiday that was created in the 1960s. As we know, in the 60s was a very turbulent time for our people in America. A time of what they call the so-called civil rights, a lot of civil unrest, a lot of rioting. As a matter of fact, this Kwanzaa was created around the time of when they had a lot of riots going on, especially on the West Coast. The Watts riot in 1965. There was a professor, so-called African American. His name was Ron. What's his name? Ron Karenga. Dr. Marlana Karenga. He's a professor at university in California, West Coast, California. He came up with this Kwanzaa. But this Kwanzaa, who don't know, is it's stretched over 7 days. Understand? And each day is what they call a so-called a principle in which they adopted some certain way of life or certain mannerism or certain things that you enhance or you practice during that day. For each of those 7 days, one day you meditate on that. So what unity, whatever, so different aspects of which on the surface may be good principles. Understand? May be good principles, but it has nothing to do with the Most High. And if you want principles of the Most High, all we got to do is what? Read the scripture. All the wisdom we need is what? Contained right here in the scripture. Particularly the book of Proverbs, Ecclesiastics, all those give you all kind of wisdom. We don't need to follow the ways of any other nation, because the so-called Kwanzaa, the fact that it has its roots in Ham. Understand? It's basically another way of induction to people with this so-called Pan-Africanism. Understand? Because it's all the word Kwanzaa itself is a Swahili word meaning first fruit. It's not a Hebrew word. So philosophically, it's all going back to what? Going back to Ham. So all those 7 principles that Kwanzaa supposedly promoting, all that is already pertained right here in the scriptures and more. So and conveniently, this Kwanzaa is celebrated when? December 26th. December 26th through January, I think January 2nd. Just say yes, 7 days around there. So they conveniently have it a day after the so-called Christmas. So this is another way of trying to incorporate other religion into other doctrines. Because we know Christmas came about by incorporating the doctrines and philosophies of paganism going back to Nimrod. Now this Kwanzaa now is coming right after Christmas. So you're already into a festive mood. So then they're not trying to replace Christmas. You see that you're just trying to ride on the coattail of Christmas. Now we all know what the Moses said about that. Give me Psalm 78 and 5.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 78 and verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, with which he had commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children.
Right.
Verse 6, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God.
Right, so that's what the Most High gave us. Laws, statutes, and commandments that we should teach unto our children from generation to generation. Get me Ephesians 4:14. We're going to wrap it up with that. Ephesians 4 verse 14. But instead of keeping the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, we got swayed, man. We got carried away by the doctrines and philosophies of the other nations that are so rooted in paganism. Some were forcing us violently, and some, we just got enticed into it. We chose to be a part of it. Ephesians 4:14.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
That we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro.
Right, that's what we are, man. We're like children, so gullible, so easily influenced. Moses said, now that we know who we are, that we are Hebrew Israelites, I know that all these doctrines have nothing to do with the Most High, and that they came out of the philosophies and of the root in paganism. We shouldn't be carried away with them. Right?
And carried about with every wind of doctrine.
We should be carried about with every wind of doctrine. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Yuletide, all those are doctrines, men, of the other nations, right?
By the sleight of men and cunning craftiness.
Yeah, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness. All these are devices that men came up with. Clever devices that are on the surface, they sound and look as if there's some wisdom in it that can make you wise and can better your life. Which they make may be able to do. But if you want wisdom, where do you got to go? Go to the scriptures and follow the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Read on.
Whereby they lie and wait to deceive.
Whereby they lie in wait to deceive. You're being deceived when you follow these things. When they follow Christmas, you're being deceived. Thinking they follow the Masha, worshiping the Masha Yahushua, when in fact you're worshiping someone with the Most High. But the Most High rejected from the very beginning. Someone who was contending with the Most High from the very beginning, this Nimrod. Who was someone who had all these nations under his wings, under his umbrella, and the Most High said, no, it's not going to be like that. So he confounded them. So now, so the device of man now is what? To do the same thing over again under a different, using a different approach. Using the bait as something that they know what people have gravitated to. Religion. Read.
Verse 15. But speaking the truth in love may grow up.
Right. Jump to verse 17.
Verse 17. This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that ye henceforth walk not as the other Gentiles walk.
Right. Moses said we shouldn't walk as the other nations walk, man. Keep the Moses' laws, statutes, and commandments, and not follow the doctrines that they make. And not learn the ways of the heathens. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom. The brothers are going to get ready for camp to edify the Most High's people in the street. And to water to all of those logging in online, YouTube, Facebook. And don't forget tomorrow, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern, we have the Hebrew class, and at noon, we have the continuation of the Shabbat service. Shalom. And Madiam Wapanya, Yarashalam. Shayar, Psalms 133. Shayar, Hama Ailwat, Ladawad, Hana, Ma, Tawab, Wama, Naayam, Shabath, Akyam, Gam, Yakar, Kashaman, Atawab, Ail, Haraash, Yarad, Ail, Azakwan, Zakwan, Haaran, Shayarad, Ail, Paya, Madawath Yawa, Katal, Karamwan, Shayarad, Ail, Araria, Tazayawan, Kaya, Sham, Tazawa, Yahawa, Ath, Abaraka, Kayawam, Aid, Iwalam, Ba'asham, Amashiach, Hawashai, Tawara, Aman. Kan.
Psalms 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garment, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Most High commanded the blessings, even life forevermore. By Hashem, Amashiach Yahushai, the Wadam Tayad, Aman. Hallelujah.